What's up, Periscope? It's Mimi. So I'm coming on really quickly, just real brief. As you're coming in, if you don't mind, swipe right on iPhones to share with your followers, swipe up on Android to share with your followers. Giving hearts is one of the ways you show love to the broadcaster. Like one of those hearts that went up on the right-hand side. You show love by tapping the screen and you give hearts. So share with your followers, share on Twitter. I think you could share on Facebook now. And so I'll just go ahead and give people a couple seconds to come in. You look like, oh, thanks. That's nice. Very nice. So as you're coming in, tap the screen, give hearts, invite your followers. I just want to talk really briefly. It's been a long day, and yeah, so I just want to come on real quick. So I'll give people a couple seconds to come in, and as you're coming in, share, because it's nice to share. So yeah, I'll introduce myself. My name is Marilyn Desume. Everyone calls me Mimi, and I run a purity blog where I interview married couples who waited until marriage to be intimate as a way to encourage other young adults like myself to wait until marriage, because first and foremost, it's what the Bible asks us to do. And it asks because we have the free will to do what we want to do. And I actually did an interview tonight with a couple from Atlanta, Lori and OJ Flowers. So that interview will be up on Christmas Day on the YouTube channel. I think the YouTube link is in my bio. What else? So yeah, I interview married couples. I run a blog. I have a day job, which I don't really talk about on social media because it's sensitive information. And what else? Run a blog. Yeah, that's me. I am a Christian. I'm a young adult. I'm 32 years old. I'm waiting until marriage to be intimate with whoever my husband happens to be. So yeah, I was watching, I don't know, but I was on Facebook earlier, and I was watching a video from the Steve Harvey page, his TV show page, and one of the ladies was asking a question of, the guy's name was Todd Chrisley, I believe. She asked the man if it was a deal breaker that the man she was currently dating and living with has never told her he loved her. And so of course the guy went in. And he just talked about how if a man has never even told you that he loves you and you moved in with him, like what is there left to do? Why would you move in with a guy who hasn't even expressed the fact that he loves you? And I don't even know why he would let her move in, but that's a whole nother story. And so they asked her as well, hey, has he expressed, does he even show that he loves you? And she said, well, it depends. If you're not unsure of a man actually loving you, he doesn't show it, he doesn't say it, there's an issue in your relationship. And so one of the things she also said, was that they've talked about marriage. This is for the ladies. If just because a guy has talked about marriage to you doesn't mean he wants to marry you. So with us, a lot of women, and I've done this, is that a man, we sometimes hear what a man is saying, but we don't hear what they're saying. So he may say, yeah, I want to get married one day. I want to have kids. I want to have a family. I love marriage. I think it's beautiful, but that doesn't mean he wants to marry you. Like, that is a hard truth and a hard pill to follow. But just because a man talks about marriage with you does not mean he wants to marry you. Just because a man expresses whatever it may be, hey, I want to buy a home one day, that doesn't mean he wants to buy a home with you. It just means that's what he's expressing. And I think sometimes as women, we don't hear what a man is saying because they usually say what they mean. Most men don't blatantly lie. If you hear them, they're not blatantly lying. They're saying what it is they want. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to buy a home. I want a family life. I'm family oriented. But it doesn't mean they want to build that life with you. And so when the disappointment comes in, when you break up and y'all break up and you're like, well, I thought you wanted to marry me. He never said that. He never said he wanted to marry you. He said he wanted to get married, but not to you. And so I think that's just something, so it's so true. It's very true. And I've been guilty of it, of hearing what a man is saying and running with it like, oh, he loves me. He wants to marry me because he's talked about marriage and he wants to get married. But all the while not realizing he never said, Marilyn, I want to marry you one day. He simply said in our conversations, and they may have been multiple conversations, but he never said, I want to marry you, Marilyn. I see myself marrying you. I see my life with you. I see you having my children. I see us building a life together. If a man is not explicitly saying these things to you, then it does not necessarily mean he wants to marry you. And listen, some men will build a whole life with you and never marry you, knowing that they never want to marry you. Move in together, have children, buy a house together, making major moves, and never have any intentions of marrying you. Like, these are hard truths. Like, really, and hard truths that I've had to come to terms with. Because although I've never lived with a man, I was never on living with a man outside of marriage. I'm not saying never as in totally never, because I have two best friends who lived with their boyfriends before they got married, and they got married. So it's not a blanket statement. I'm saying there are a lot of situations where women are in situations where they've moved in with a man, are having kids with him, maybe even bought a house, buying cars, have phone bills together. Never, ever, ever. No, not never, ever, ever. But they've done all this stuff with a man, and he never plans on making that commitment to her. I've talked to men who have built this whole life with a woman, and they know that they don't want to marry her. Like, I don't see her being my wife. I don't see myself marrying her. But you have this whole life with this woman. Like, some women are in these things. Some women are literally in this boat right now. And then you have to ask those hard questions. Some women are afraid to ask the questions. Let's sit down. Do you want to marry me? Do you see yourself with me for the rest of your life? Do you see yourself having children with me? Do you see me as the mother of your children? Do you see us building a life together? These are the questions you should be asking a man that is so-called totally committed to you. And we're building whole lives with people that have no intention on marrying you. So that's just really what I wanted to talk about, because I watched the video and the lady tried to justify the fact that the man has never expressed how he's felt about her, has never said that he loves her, and hasn't expressly said that he wants to marry her, but she's moved in with this guy. And you don't even have any real commitment. Yes, moving in together is a big commitment, because I would never move in with the guy and I'm not married, but that's a real big commitment in itself. But that doesn't mean he wants you. It could just be right now he's in a financial bind and he needs some help on this rent. And he just needs a roommate that is going to give him sex every night. Like, these are the hard truths women need to hear and need to understand. If a man does not, we need to learn this about men. If they don't say, and that's fine. If that's I'm talking to the women. I'm not talking to the women who move in with a man, who build a life with a man and don't want to get married. I'm not talking to those women who are totally fine with living with a man. And I'm talking to the women who have the desire, who have seen themselves as being married, and don't see themselves dating someone indefinitely, always and forever. Like, I'm talking to those women, not to the women who are fine with dating a man and being, what do they call them? Common law marriages, where you live together forever and ever, but you don't actually ever get married. I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to women who think in the back of their minds, yeah, we've been dating 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, 8, 9, 10, whatever years, and he's going to marry me one day. I'm talking to those people who have that expectation that all these years are going to add up to a ring on her left finger, and his replacing her last name with his last name. Those women, or hyphenating their last name, whatever your choice is. That's who I'm talking to. If you are in a situation where you don't really know if a man really wants you, if a man really wants to marry you, if a man sees himself with you for the rest of his life, if a man wants you to be the mother of his children, if a man wants to buy a home with you, to build a life with you, if you don't know those things, then those are questions you should be asking. And I'm saying that because I've been through those situations, in one in particular, not really with multiple people, but there was one person that, although they expressed marriage, it didn't mean it was with me. So I had to understand that, yes, they're family oriented. Yes, they want to get married. Yes, they want to build a life. Yes, they want to have kids. But listen, that person is now married with a kid and a wife in a house and all that stuff. And I'm not the one that's married to him. But some people are afraid to ask, or they don't know to ask, or they assume. Stop making assumptions. Assumptions have no place in relationships. When a man, hello, thank you, welcome to the broadcast. Assumptions have no place in a relationship where a man and a woman have decided to come together and build a relationship and build a life. Lonely, that's a totally different subject. Don't make assumptions where you are coming together, you're building a life, and you're just assuming that he wants what you want. Y'all want the same, y'all want the same things, and y'all want the same things out of life. That's not always true. You have to ask questions. Yeah, you get nowhere when you don't ask questions. It's the same way in school, on your job. If you don't ask questions, you're not going to get the answers. You're not going to get past a certain point. You have to ask questions in every situation in your life, especially in relationships, especially when it comes to you thinking you're going to get married. This guy's going to marry you one day, and literally in the back of his mind, he's never going to marry you. Like, never. There are some women in relationships with men where the man in the back of his mind knows he will never marry you. And if you don't, you don't, it's not common sense. I don't think it is. I think some people, because they've seen certain situations or certain relationships, they assume that if they do things this way, and this way, this is the result. But if a man comes in and all he knows is living together, shacking up, fornicating, whatever, then that's how he sees, that's what a relationship is to him. And she comes in thinking marriage, kids, house, car, whatever, building a life, then, it's two different people. You have to ask questions. So yeah, I didn't mean to talk for this long, but anywho, yeah. So if you don't know, ask questions. Just because a man says he wants to get married doesn't mean he wants to marry you. Just because he wants to have kids doesn't mean he wants you to be the mother of his kids. Yeah, and that can go both ways. Men can make assumptions in a relationship, and a woman has totally different ideas, and a woman could be making assumptions and a man has totally different ideas. So yeah, y'all have a good nights, huh? We have to sit down. Right, exactly. From the beginning, you have to sit in the beginning of relationships and have communication and speak about what your expectations are. That's where people get messed up, when they start dating and just run off with it, and no one's asking any questions. Everybody's making assumptions, and then you get your feelings hurt at the end, and you wasted like good years. All right. So yeah, stop wasting your good years. Share this broadcast. Hit the tap the screen for likes. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time whenever I feel like running my mouth again. All right. Talk to y'all later. Bye. Peace.